Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Allied General. I'm the Mysterious JG, and I was thinking between recording sessions about how I want to handle the fact that there's different scenarios, and do I want to play the scenarios we don't get? Something kind of neat that I did not notice before. Actually, I will quick get out of our current reality. On the scenario map, because my knowledge of the history is not fantastic. I have a good working knowledge of the events of World War II, but I'm not like an armchair general to the point where I know the individual. Let's just say that people, but Banter General, at least, people showed up in the comments section who were much more into the like really detailed knowledge of what was happening than I was. Um, or I consider myself a student of world history in a broader sense. But there are scenarios here that are fictional, and that's why some of the scenarios, like you can't get all the scenarios. Some of them are kind of mutually exclusive, and part of it is because the real flow. These scenarios, all of the Western ones are listed, followed by all of the Russian ones. So you can see Finland is the first one in the Russian scenario, and it's more than halfway down. So the total Russian scenario is actually a little shorter than the sort of the British scenario if you start in North Africa and fight all the way through to Germany. Except that a few of the scenarios that are up here are American only, like Torch, which is the Americans' first land in North Africa, and Kazarine Pass, which was, as this will tell us, the first time that the Americans actually face the Desert Fox, the face of the Germans, because we can't use that face with a mustache. Anyway, and like Jupiter is a fictional scenario that is. And we had, I think, one or two fictional scenarios in Panzer General, other than just Washington. Actually, I think there's quite a few fictional scenarios in Panzer General, but Washington, the invasion of America, was obviously a fictional scenario. Jupiter is a fictional scenario. It's kind of the reverse Operation Weserübung, because this is a plan Churchill had that was never enacted for the Allies to land in Norway and reclaim Norway from the Axis before landing in Normandy. And I think to get Jupiter, you have to miss out on Cobra as the big breakout from Overlord is the landing at Normandy. Cobra is the breakout from the beachheads. Like some of these you can't see, but all of them. And then I'm probably pronouncing these wrong. Moise and Moselle, that's a British exclusive and American exclusive campaign. Blah, 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 blah. But in North Africa is where it happens a lot, because Tripoli is a fictional scenario based on the British dealing Rommel like a heavy defeat and forcing him into retreat before that really happens. And Cairo, and it would be the final scenario of North Africa, driving Rommel out of North Africa with a decisive early victory compared to history. And then Cairo represents like the British fighting a siege of Cairo, which is farther than Rommel ever got. This is like your backs are against the wall, but it also results in just the end of the scenario. Like if you win at Cairo, it's just it's over. I mean, because they're arranged by the dates when they're supposed to happen. And this one, what's this one says? January 3, 1942. This is July 2nd, 1942. Never mind. I guess the dates don't make that much. They're not exactly arranged by date. But yeah, Cairo is like the final scenario if you do poorly, but you're still in it. Tripoli is the final scenario if you're doing better than the British did historically. And then Alamein is the actual real historical way that the British turned the tables against Rommel around the time that the Americans were landing in Torch. Americans land in November. Al Alamein is fought in October. So yeah, this is the British deal Rommel a fairly decisive defeat, and the Americans are landing in North Africa to his west, and they begin the roll-up of the Axis forces in their retreat. So it's like three different ways to end the scenario, and Al Alamein is the one that actually historically happened. So I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to approach this. I might try to play it so that I could do it easily through the scenario menu, but then we wouldn't have the core units we've built up. And we're going to have a similar situation a little bit in the Russian campaign. Because what I did not realize is a Russian campaign also features some fictional scenarios. Like from invading Finland to like I think you have to lose at Leningrad before you even fight in Moscow, because I think historically, I guess the Germans did take Leningrad. I'm not sure, because they never take Moscow, obviously, because taking Moscow kind of would have beaten the Russians, not because it was the capital, but because it was the basically the entire rail system was organized around Moscow. So if the Germans had taken Moscow, they kind of would have destroyed the Russian ability to move troops throughout the country. So, but you can't get both of these unless you can get Leningrad by getting minor victory at Pskov, but then you have to lose Leningrad to even get Moscow, because the assumption is if you hold Leningrad in the north, then the Germans never get to advance in the center to Moscow. I don't know. It's confusing. But then you do have one of these. Was it Zhytomyr? Yeah, Zhytomyr is a speculative scenario set near Kiev. I don't even know what that one's about. So there's at least one fictional scenario here, and there's a couple in North Africa, and then Europe and then Jupiter. So I don't know. I haven't quite figured out how we're going to work with that. If you have strong ideas, let me know. In Panzer General, I did not show every single scenario. Like, I never set out to show every single scenario. So maybe I shouldn't be worrying about it here so much, except that with this game being broken into two scenarios, you get so close. If you play through them both, you get so close to seeing everything that it's annoying that you don't. Whereas in Panzer General, yeah, you kind of got to decide: are you going to fight Are you going to fight the British, or are you going to fight the Russians? Because there's no one German general that was fighting on both fronts consistently. Um, well, I suppose people got transferred to the Eastern Front as punishment if they did poorly on the Western Front. It's kind of how it worked. But anyway, let's get back to what we were doing last time, which was this is a scenario where we want a minor in order to see the most stuff. Because if we get a major here, this is what would take us to that fictional Tripoli scenario. If we kick the crap out of Rommel here, remember this scenario represents us a breakout from Tobruk. We held Tobruk in the last scenario, but it was under siege, according to the results of us getting a minor victory. So we have the German, because they can't perfectly pass one map to another. So the Germans have taken, presumably an off-screen action while our general was resting. The Germans took some cities that they didn't take from us in the last scenario, but we still, from Bir Shefrezin, whatever that city's called, we have our big breakout. And this historically did happen. Cairo was relieved, or not Cairo, sorry, Tobruk was relieved by a British counteroffensive. But the British counteroffensive kind of broke the siege, but didn't really gain anything in real history. And this, we're taking a bunch from the Germans. And if we get a major victory here, which involves taking El Agheila, which was where they primarily launched their attacks on Tobruk from, that takes us to Tripoli, which was the fictional scenario where we're doing better than we actually could have done. So what I want to do is get us in a position where we could, and then maybe we'll take our actual core units and fight Tripoli just to see it. But if we do, we'll have to like hop in the time machine and come back to this and get a minor instead. So like, it's kind of like those Nobunaga's Ambition campaigns where I played through to a certain point, and then we had to start a new scenario because the historical events would break down. So we would fight through for like 3 years and gain all these cities, and then we'd start a historical scenario where cities I had taken on screen no longer belong to us, etc. I haven't quite figured out how we're going to do that yet, but I'd like to end this scenario with us in the position to get a major or a minor. And at this point, we can't really lose. Like, we would have to, I think we would have to, like, take all of our units away and hope that they came back and retook some of these cities for us to lose. For a second, okay, that city didn't have a flag on it for a minute. I thought it had. It's possible for cities to become neutral through the use of level bombers, but neither us nor the Axis have actually used any of those yet. So this Spitfire unit is in bad shape, but we can take it back to at least refuel. If I can remember how clicking works. Yeah, I kind of wanted to bring it to this hex, and it got confused. Now it's working. I don't know what happened there. So if we want a major victory, the problem is going to be El Agheila itself. I think we're going to take Benghazi. Hillary lied and people died fairly easily here. That doesn't seem like a very useful turn. You guys have ammo. Fly up here in the hope that maybe on this turn we take the space, but I kind of doubt we will. I think it'll just be... Well, they've got 2 ammo left. They could have just stayed down there, I suppose. Maybe what I'll do is have them come up here and be ready to bomb these guys on the next turn. This is just to keep their entrenchment from getting better. Although they got a kill, so that's cool. See, they even have the generic allied fighter picture on the mosquitoes. They're basically like fighters that can also drop bombs. What could you reach? Are you in range to... Yeah, it'd be nice to finish these guys off if possible. Because that would be a lot of prestige for them to burn to replace. Like, they wouldn't replace that unit with more artillery. They would end up probably buying infantry or one of these shitty cheap tank units, or even one of these self-propelled anti-tank units to take its place. Have I got any more air units I haven't used yet? I always open with my air units. Unless there's something going on where... yeah. Unless there's something going on where I'm using ground units to get rid of anti-air before bombing hexes that would have been within range of the anti-air. You always want to use your air first because it just softens things up for whatever your ground units are going to do. These guys are going to be a nuisance, aren't they? I really just want to keep the momentum going so that we can... Oh, fudge. That didn't go well at all. That went really poorly, actually. Glad we got the first... we attacked simultaneously. I didn't think we would be allowed to, actually. Rugged defense? That's why I attacked them so many times, so they wouldn't have enough entrenchment for that. I'm trying to soften them up so that they can't... yeah, I don't want them killing this unit here. You got all these... anti-tank... I got all this artillery here that I don't think they can see. Because if they do, they'd be pretty well positioned to wipe it out on me, unfortunately. taking a bit of a risk moving some of these transports as close as we are, but I'm trying to really be stingy with prestige so that I can get some really good stuff going in the future here. Can I find out about these guys? What is the sighting range on this? Spotting 3. Yeah, so if I get out into the swamp here, they will see me and could potentially decide to attack. Yeah, that the battle for Bir Bevid did not go as well as I had hoped. But let's just keep going. Yeah, they can see those trucks. Damn it, they're probably going to attack. Really kind of misplayed that. I thought they couldn't see as far as they could actually see. Oh, they could come to see these guys. Or they just came up there to counterattack. But yeah, like them fighting heavy infantry in like the swamp is not a good thing for them. I'm surprised they're getting the... I thought I might get the first attacks more often. Okay, that didn't go as well as the first fight did. Oh, they've decided to build an air unit, and they decided to build a tactical bomber with no fighter support. So that's a choice that you could make. This is risky. Like, I could actually lose my, yeah. How can they, wait a minute, how can they have reinforcements that just appeared on the map that have experience? I mean, I know that doesn't sound illogical in, like, real world. Like, oh, yeah, they called some units forward from that had fought before. But in this game, it's like, no, wait, like, they shouldn't have any experience. Anyway. Yeah, like, we would have actually lost our weakened fighter unit attacking that full-strength bomber unit. And that's a no good. Or maybe it said defenders would lose 3 and I got confused. But that should have been good experience for you guys, but it still seems like you barely have any experience. These guys, on the other hand, are doing great. All right. I made some mistakes up here. Definitely made mistakes up here. So this will make it so that they at least can't just advance and crush these guys. But yeah, I definitely didn't do very... Well, I wasn't that smart about how I did that. I pulled them way too far forward. For some reason, I thought they only had a spotting distance of 2, and they have a spotting distance of 3. So, oops, that was on me. I paid the price for that one. All my air units have gone except for the unit that was down here. See, they're reinforcing those guys as I go. even with bombers flying overhead, they're able to strengthen up those units, unfortunately. It's a really satisfying damage thing. There's when the self-propelled German anti-tank guns blow up, there's this huge plume of smoke. And somebody pointed out in the comments that they love the animation of infantry taking damage because of the way there's an explosion and they just go flying off. And I know it's kind of gruesome, but at the same time, there's part of me that's like, for someone my age, it would be your grandfather. For some of the people watching this, it would be your great grandfather. They're out there fighting against the greatest evil that has ever been known, the greatest threat to human liberty and dignity. And they are the greatest generation, and they're out there fighting. And then when they get attacked by, an enemy armored unit, they just wee, wee, like their bodies flying around, like wee, flipping around like acrobats. It's a bit silly. You know, you guys are really low on fuel. It might be time to actually just get elite replacements. Costs a lot of prestige, but oof, even losses. I mean, I probably just should. Smart thing to do would probably be just to hold off. They can't quite overstrength. It's a shame. Because if they could, you guys, yeah, you probably, they took so much damage in some of my earlier dumb moves. I really can't safely use them for anything. I could use prestige to reinforce them, but at this point I have to hope I can take Eligala. It's going to be a lot of air power involved in taking it. If I wipe out these tank units and keep pressing forward, they haven't replaced them. I don't know how much prestige the Axis commander has left, but I'll tell you the truth. Like, actually, after my last session, I played another couple turns without recording and did much better than I'm doing right now. I made a couple of mistakes, and sometimes the RNG, like this fight for Bir Vevid, just really did not go that well. And some of it was just the rolls that their defenders got. They did a lot of damage to my attackers. It's not like we're almost out of turns. We've got time. Yeah, that attack did not go very well for them. Although they could have me run out of ammo if I'm not careful. Oof. That one did hurt. Although we hurt them back. Now, the question is, did they reinforce up here? And it looks like maybe they didn't. Or if they did, it was in a very limited way. Let's take a look. Hope they didn't build new... oh, they did not reinforce. Okay. So things might not be too bad after all. No damage done, but at least we're trying to reduce their entrenchment level. All right. These guys are like my super elite fighters at this point. They even want to overstrength them before the next battle. Okay, that didn't go as well as I hoped, but... Probably should have done that first if that was the plan. I think I can assume I'll take this. Nope, that's not what I meant to do, damn it. Let's see, I think maybe we can assume we'll take this airfield on this turn, but... Sure would help to bomb them all one more time. Oh, I should have let them kill this unit. They would have got more experience, I think. Because you want to wipe out weakened units when you have the opening, otherwise they'll reinforce and be harder to get rid of on a future turn. Alrighty. Nice. See, are any of these wides? Not really. Let's march up here. Oh wow, those guys could get really strong. If I just started upgrading these guys now on this turn rather than pressing forward, they would get really quite powerful, but there's no way you could finish them off, is there? Well, you could certainly get rid of some of their ammo. Nice. So these poor guys are out of ammo and down to 10% strength. Tempting as it is to start overstrengthening those guys right now. Let's pull them forward in case they're needed. Although again, if I'm going for minor victory, which is I think the real thing that we want to do, like I could do a major and then show off Tripoli, but I think what we really want is a minor, in which case just having these guys start the next battle at 13 out of 10 strength and these guys at 12 out of 10 strength would be impressive and useful. It's harder to get experience for your infantry, honestly. Also, it's harder to keep their strength high because the tanks, once they're overstrength, they have a tendency to just wipe out units without the enemy even getting to fire back. So, like, you can keep a 15-unit strength at 15 strength tank unit at 15 longer than you would think. It doesn't always work that way for infantry. Fighters, it's similar. Like, you get the first attack and you just, like, wipe out or suppress everybody in the other fighter unit, and they don't get to counterattack. You can keep that 15 strength going. Much more difficult to do with artillery. And then, or infantry, rather. In artillery, it's hard to get them overstrength at all because they never get any freaking experience. All right, let's let the Germans have their turn, and then we'll call it a video here. 6 turns remaining. It'll be 5 turns remaining after this. Didn't think they would be able to dislodge us. Now, airfield is not a great place to be entrenched, but oh my, damn, my artillery was there, but it was still in trucks. So that ended up being an even trade. This heavy infantry unit is, I kind of wish that was a core unit because it's getting a lot of good experience, but it is an auxiliary unit. All right, so when we come back next time, guys, that turn didn't go as great as, like, just dominantly great as I might have hoped. But we're doing all right, and we'll have to see about doing even more right next time. Bye for now, guys.